yeah, they're changing stuff up. If it wasn't obvious that they're changing things as a whole, they weren't changing things, this would pretty much be the wake up call for so. Because now they basically decided to be like, hey yo, PS4, we can't hang with you no more. So goodbye. And that's essentially what it is. By, basically saying that they're not going to be able to update the game in the PS4's life cycle anymore because of hardware limitations and things of sort like that. Now, I'm gonna be absolutely honest. I'm not gonna be one of those people to be like, well, you just need to, afford to get it. If you got money to buy these things in the game or just buy games in general, then you could afford it. Shut up. Shut up. No one asked you. But when it comes down to it, though, I absolutely get this, right? On Hoyoverse's side and on the player side. On the player side, I especially get this for sure because honestly, having a PS4, especially in this point in time, it might just be all that you can really afford to go get. It might be the only thing that you can really have a hand in when it comes down to it. Because ultimately, if you really look around, shit is high, man. Shit is high. You can't really buy what you really want to get. Games are getting higher and they'll charge whatever price they're gonna charge for it. It's just not an easy time. So I understand people that very much is stuck with the PS4 and just will not or cannot move to the next console or a next another thing, because it might be just be bills that you gotta pay. It might just be, some type of mortgage or something. It might just be some other type of third thing, medical thing that you might have to deal with. And honestly, again, I get that. Those things are far more important than you spending money on a game console or a game or something like that. And that's something I very much get. Hell, and again, I will never not be grateful for basically the people in the audience that helped me with my PS5 to get it. Because ultimately, I probably would still be on PS4. Maybe soon, maybe transition, maybe into this period of time to get a PS5, maybe last year. But when it comes down to it though, if it wasn't for the fact that certain community members within this channel actually did help out to make that possible for me to get a PS5, I would not have one. And that's still something that's one of the greatest things I ever received, and it's still honestly the most best thing that ever has happened to me, high key, and I'm extremely grateful for that. But not everybody's gonna have the opportunity to just be able to have people to help them out in that sort of way, right? Not everybody's gonna be able to do that sort of thing. And ultimately, things ain't gonna just fall into your lap like that, where, getting money and be able to just spend on whatever you want to spend on, because that's just not possible and viable for a lot of people. And again, the cost of living doesn't really help that sort of situation. So on the PS4 side of people, I absolutely get it, because it sucks, it's very shitty, and it's just not a fun time to deal with. It's really not a fun time to deal with, and 100% again, I get that. But also I understand it on Hoyoverse's side, because at the end of the day, they did say in that live stream of the Welcome Moon that, they wanted to basically expand their limitations, because they're thinking, oh, maybe we can't do the whole thing with people walking around the world and essentially, just existing with these little mini stories that they're just involved in. But why not, right? We think people have enough of the majority of, I guess, players will have enough of a, boost in their devices to kind of have a way to match the limitations of what actually is going to be involved with the future of the game. And if the game is going to continue and actually get more stuff involved into the game and better quality of life things as well, then yes, they're going to have to move away. Got to keep in mind too, PS4 is like 12 years old. It is a old ass console at this point. It still probably sounds like a jet engine if I were to hook mine back up again, because at the end of the day, that is how it is, right? And then some PS5s, or at least not PS5s, but PS4s, if you went through the same kind of situation that I did, your PS4 might be chopped. Your PS4 might be cooked when it comes down to it, and you don't have like any way of updating the console at all. And you might have to buy another hard drive, at least that's what somebody told me you need to go get when it comes down to it, because at the end of the day, that's the only way to fix your console. So again, it's a terrible situation. It sucks for a lot of people. And again, I absolutely get that. I'm not gonna sit here and shit on people because, oh, you can't afford to get a PS5. But ultimately though, I do again see the point of where Hoyoverse is trying to go to. Plus, again, as time goes on and if you want the game to really improve, they kind of need to move past PS4. Lots of games have been trying to, dip off the PS4 timeline and the early Switch timeline and whatever, trying to get back to, I guess, like the next gen sells that they know they can be. I know a lot of people also said mobile might be, on the chopping block too, but if they get rid of mobile, then they won't make any sort of money. So I don't see that. I do feel like there is a lot of mobile games, or at least a lot of mobile phones that can actually run a lot of stuff. Hell, even a Samsung A15 even this that I have, it can pretty much kind of run it to a point. So you know what? It's not necessarily a hard time for mobile devices to somehow run it. I don't know how they run it, but they absolutely do, and they can. And if it's possible, then it's just possible. And for anybody that's probably maybe thinking, all right, well, they'll probably just, I don't know, put this on the Switch 2 or something like that. Will they? Will they though? Because I'm not gonna lie, the Switch 2 is basically just a little bit slightly more upgraded PS4. It can run PS5, but it also has to do a lot of heavy lifting to get those PS5 games going. So can it run it? Sure, but is it going to be much better? I don't know. And granted, they could always just release it on the Switch 2 and shut my bitch ass up, which, I wouldn't be too mad at. But at the end of the day, I don't think they're gonna do that. I don't think that's something that's within the strategy book of Hoyoverse to do, if I'm gonna be honest. I think they're just gonna mainly stick with things like, your PC, your really bigger, better consoles like your Xbox, your what is it called? PlayStation 5. How the hell did I forget that? I don't know. Maybe like a Steam Deck, maybe your ROG Outlast or whatever. Those can run it. Those will be fine because they have the capacity to do so. But PS4 is so old of tech that they have to work with and try to, work with that jank, trying to make this stuff work and hook it up equally while working on other stuff. And yeah, I can understand again why they would do such a thing to do this sort of move. Because again, it's just one old piece of hardware compared to like more recent decent pieces of hardware when it comes down to it. And then PC always have infinite possibilities of what you want to do with it, so it kind of is what it is on that sort of front too. And then to kind of add a little bit more insult to injury to the PS4 people, I'm sorry, but when it comes down to it though, you also have other Hoyoverse games that is not on PS4. I don't think Star Rail's on PS4. I know ZZZ isn't on PS4, and Wuwa is not on PS4 as far as I don't think it is. So when it comes down to it, a lot of games are pretty much dipping out of the PS4 era, and Genshin's really the last real big major game like this of its size of what it is to really just stick to the PS4, right? And that's going to be gone basically next year in April, I want to say, or maybe February, I don't know, look up the official information. But still, nonetheless, it just goes to show you that yeah, PS4 is very much slowly but steadily been a thing, but it's also being left behind. Again, you're not really seeing people make games for PS4 specifically or anything like that, or even having a mix of the two, because that's just not how it is anymore. You just can't do that, right? It's just impossible, People, hell, if anything, people been mad for a while now that PS4 has hanged on for as long as it did for other games too, like Street Fighter 6, because people have very much said, man, if PS4 or the old gen of consoles wasn't on Street Fighter, we could have had a totally next gen game. And I think that is true. That very much would be true. However, you also have to realize at the time, lots of people, even still till now, lots of people do not have that luxury to go out and go get a brand new effing console, or even a new phone to play a lot of these games on, or a Nintendo Switch or whatever. With Switch especially trying to raise their prices again on an old ass console to make you think, oh, the old ass console, it got like $100 extra. So you know what? I might just well get the newer console, so I don't necessarily have to worry about that anymore, because that's the market mind games Nintendo wants to play and nobody wants to call them out on. But ultimately though, it does suck that the PS4 is getting discontinued. I would have very much liked to see everybody play the game and just enjoy it for what it is, because that is still, PS4, believe it or not, is still a very big audience of people that has one and still uses it. So very much so, that is a gamble to kind of throw away that part of your audience to that point. But at the very same time, again, I absolutely get that. Yeah, PS5 is PS5's time now. It's been a long time, and I absolutely get that, right? I fully and absolutely get that. So on one hand, again, I'm not really particularly mad However, for making this decision, but also it does suck for people that really want to just continue playing the game and have literally no other means of doing so. And also they're gonna have to be forced to drop the game, or they're just gonna drop the game themselves because there ain't no damn way. So again, it very much sucks and I hate that for them. But yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. This does give me ideas and maybe a hope that maybe, I don't know, Cry will be the introduction to a lot of cool stuff for the consoles and the PCs to do, that maybe, hey, things could actually work out a bit better when it comes down to how they're going to implement certain stuff, and maybe they're going to actually do some old ideas that people have been asking for years, and maybe that's the reason why they're doing this sort of thing, which if that is the case, that is excellent, that is great. But still, that is one side of the player base that's just not going to be there anymore, which is, again, something that really sucks, because, again, prices of everything is just not that good. So, that's, I guess, really what I wanted to say for this one. So, hopefully, you did enjoy. If you did, be sure to like, share, subscribe, hit the bell notification on your way out. Also, follow me on the socials. And if you'd like to donate to the channel, Kofi and Cash App is available as well. And until then, it's your boy Jay, signing off. Have a blessed day.